Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome to our tutorial on the before start, engine start and after start procedures in the iniBuilds A300. So we have completed our FMS preparation, and that is where we are picking up with the before start checklist. So at this moment, before we can actually run the checklist, we just look over the entire flight deck one more time to make sure that there are no white switches illuminated anywhere, to make sure that we didn't miss anything before. Remember, the checklist is just there in order to catch up on items we missed. So at this point, we can also turn on the seatbelt signs in the freighter, or if we are flying the passenger version, then we turn them on once our refueling is complete. We have a look at the fuel quantity, 25.5 right now, 25.4 is the minimum. And then we can have a quick look over our FMS setup again, making sure takeoff approach is selected on the pilot flying side and flight plan is selected on the pilot monitoring side. The FCU is also set up over here. Okay, then we go ahead, confirm our landing elevation is set correctly, our altimeters are set correctly, and we have made sure that we check the takeoff warning system, which we did, and the brake anti-skid switch is in the normal and on position. Once we checked all of that, we can call for the before start checklist down to the line. And you find that through the My Flight tab by clicking on the checklist item down here. So My Flights and then checklist, that's how you find it. Okay, before start checklist. Cockpit prep completed. Fuel quantity 25,500 pounds. Takeoff data set. Landing elevation set, 800 feet. Brake and anti-skid normal and on. And windows and doors. So at that point we look at the ECAM door page to make sure that all the doors are closed, and then we also look at the flight deck windows. So you can see that little thing up here on the window handle. If that would be sticking out, there would be a little bit of red paint visible below it. If that is the case, your windows are not locked, so these you check as well. Finally, we close the flight deck door, like that. And with that, windows and doors closed. Before start checklist completed, down to the line. Now, before I'm going to request by pushback using GSX, there is just one quick thing we need to make sure, and that is the ground power to disconnect it. So the APU is running and powering the system. We can see it from the avail light over here. There is no fault light on the APU generator, so we can disconnect our external power. This is a very important step. Make sure that the external power is no longer feeding the system before you disconnect it. Otherwise, there is a high risk of injury to the ground personnel. Alright, now with that done, let's go ahead and request our pushback and departure. Okay, when that is done, we can make our lives easy. We can either wait for GSX to remove all the ground equipment, or we go to the ground equipment page and just do it manually like that. Alright, then we check that our slides are armed, or that at least we don't get any cautions about them on here. And we can go ahead, turn on the beacon, turn the transponder to XPDR once we are about to request pushback from ATC. What that does is it turns the transponder into mode alpha, and mode alpha is going to show you up on the ground radar of air traffic control. So like that, your call sign is going to pop in a view just before you request pushback, and like that it's easier for air traffic control to find you. Okay, when the pushback clearance is received, we are going to run the before start checklist below the line. Obviously, you only turn the beacon on once pushback clearance is received. So, before start checklist below the line, beacon, on, park and brake, set. Before start checklist complete. Alright, and with that we are now ready to go. So, we just need to wait for GSX to finish their procedures right now. And this actually does look okay. I'm just waiting for the window to pop up now, so that we can start our pushback procedure. Do note that once you request the GSX pushback, GSX is going to disconnect your external power automatically. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, nose is going to come to the left, please. So, ground from cockpit. Go ahead. Please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and bypass pin is installed. Yes, sir, that's all confirmed. Roger. Pushback approved facing west, park and brake set. Release park and brake. Park and brake released. Roger, starting pushback, standby for engine start. That is pretty much how the communication would normally go with the ground crew. Okay, we're starting our pushback, and we're going to stand by for the engine start until we have left our parking position. So basically, once we're clear of that line over here, that is when we can commence our engine start. Let's use the time in order to talk about the engine start sequence. So, what we're going to do is we're going to select the ignition to A if the captain is pilot flying, and ignition to B if the first officer is pilot flying. We confirm the arm light illuminates and check the pack valve flow bars extinguish up here. And when that is done, we are going to start engine number 2 first in order to ensure all brake availability. We're going to press the engine start switch for engine number 2 and observe the blue open light. Then we're going to check on the instruments that we'll have N2, all pressure increasing. That's going to be easier visible on the ECAM, and N1 rotating. And at 20% N2 we are going to set the fuel lever on. At 45% the blue open light extinguishes, and N1 rotation must be obtained within 30 seconds of reaching N2 idle speed. And that is the entire engine start sequence. Sounds easy? I do think it is. So let's go for it. Captain is pilot flying today, so we're going to select ignition A. The pack flow bars are extinguishing, as we have expected. So then, engine 2 start. So now, N2 is increasing. You can watch the oil pressure down here. That's what I meant. Much easier to see increasing over here than over here on the mechanical indicator. And N1 is rotating as well. At 20% N2, which is now, we turn on the fuel. And with that, your engines are starting. Now, if nothing happens when you press the engine starter, then do verify that your APU bleed is actually turned on. That's the easiest thing to forget, which might cause the engine not to start. So at 45%, which is in a few moments, we observe the blue open light to extinguish. Like that. And with that, we've got a good start on engine 2. Engine 1 start. So, N2 is increasing. The open light is showing. All pressure is increasing, and one rotation is observed. %, fuel going on. Okay, the pushback in the meantime is complete. Set on the park and brake, so that GSX can start their disconnection sequence. Okay, that was the generator coming online. The open light is extinguished, and with that we can initiate the after start flow. After start flow is fairly easy. Ignition going off, APU bleed off, APU master off, anti-ice as needed, and we are going to turn on the engine anti-ice on today's flight, since we do expect icing conditions just after liftoff. Okay, from here we can move down, arm the speed brake, reset the rudder trim, make sure this is showing 0. Slats and flaps we're going to set for takeoff, and that's going to be the 15 and 15 position. So that's the second setting, 15 and 15. Alright, and finally we set our trim according to the center of gravity, so that information you can again find in the performance app, Trim 0.1 down is our target. We can read it over here, so we are at like 0.1 down right now. Alright, perfect. And with that done, we can call for the after start checklist. Again, in the My Flight app, we've got the checklist. So, after start checklist. Pitch trim 0.1 down set. Rudder trim 0. Spoilers armed. Slats and flaps 15. Be sure to read it from the gauge and not from the lever. We don't want to know where the lever is, we want to know where the actual control surfaces are. Okay, ECAM status. Now, if anything was on the status page, it would light up, but as you can see, you can just go over here, status shows normal. Okay, clear that out. Anti-ice. That's engine anti-ice on. And hand signal should be received. Well, GSX is probably gone by now, so that part is completed as well. Okay, and that's the after start checklist complete. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Looking forward to your feedback, and then I see you all again on the next one where we're going to start the taxi. If you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.